guys, and welcome to the update for the 11th of February 2013. Now, as usual, I'll bring you this week's news and have a look at it and go through it in a bit of detail with you and tell you what I think. Firstly, Crytek have announced that they are going to transition to free-to-play games within 5 years. Now, currently they make games like Crysis that are the traditional model. They will charge you a set amount of money and you buy their game and you get the game. But they want to change to free-to-play, and free-to-play you don't have any of the money aside from microtransactions. So that means that Crysis 3 is going to be their last proper retail game, I imagine. They've said they've got a few more in the pipeline for consoles, so maybe it won't be, but obviously only time will tell. The Crysis CEO told VentureBeat that Crysis are to marry the quality of AAA games with the business model of free-to-play games, which is quite interesting. They've also said that their primary goal is to make AAA free-to-play games for the world market and transition entirely to that. So we're still going to get quality games, but they're just going to come in the form of free-to-play, which is very interesting, and it's a model that a lot of companies are adapting to. They're also developing a new service, and this service is called GFace. It's going to be similar to Uplay, Origin, and of course Steam, which is good. Well, it's not really good. It's a shame because the whole point of Steam was that it unifies your whole computer, your whole library into one library, but it seems that we're definitely going the way now on PC, whereas we're going back to how it used to be, which is each game will be different, and you can't, obviously you can use Steam shortcuts and stuff, but it's a shame that not everything is going to use Steam, but I can see why that's going to happen, because obviously Steam would not rule the world, but they'd pretty much rule the market as they do now, really. So from business side of view it does make sense. But they're developing GFace. Now GFace is going to be free, that's the point of it. Absolutely free. Free to play games is all they're going to do. So you'll get the usual microtransactions and things where you do pay money, but all games on it will be free. Steam obviously do something similar at the moment, but not quite to the extent of everything being free to play. That's not their market. Don't worry though, they have said that they're always going to be a games first company. We always have our own development because we're all about making games. So while they're making the technologies like the CryEngine for instance, and now GFace, they're going to continue making games, so I wouldn't worry about that. But it does ask me the question, how is it going to work on consoles, because a lot of Crytek's money comes from the console market. So maybe the PS4 and the Xbox 720 or whatever they're going to be called will have functionality that will allow it to have free-to-play games. But the point with a console is that a console makes money through selling software. They actually lose money on every PS3 or Xbox 360 sold. So the free-to-play model might not work quite as well on that. But obviously Steam, they don't make hardware. They're developing big picture and this box, but we'll see how it goes. The whole point is that a console is meant to be cheap, but then they sell the games expensive. That's why PC games are cheaper, because they don't need to worry about hardware costs. All they're worried about is you paying the Windows license and then buying the game. In Mac related news, Origin has emerged from beta and is now a proper thing. It's available to everyone, and it's Origin for Mac. So Origin for Mac delivers games digitally, and it isn't going to allow Windows games to run on Mac or anything like that. It's just a store, but they've announced cross compatibility, the same as Steam do. So if you buy, for example, The Sims, you buy a Mac version. Once you've got it in Origin, you could go over to your PC and you could download the Windows version at no extra cost. Does this matter? Well, if you've got a Mac, I suppose it does. But as I said in my last Mac versus PC video, gaming on a Mac is not something you buy a Mac for, it's a little extra. So Origin for Mac is going to be a little extra for you, but if you've got a Mac, then you know it's going to be useful. Now, what I think is the most interesting news this week actually is that the Surface Pro is released today. Is it a winner or is it a loser? Well, it's difficult to know, but what we do know is that it's sold out straight away as soon as it was available. The Surface RT did kind of sell out, but they remedied that in a few days. But this is literally a case of Microsoft, the stores have no stock left, the retail stores have no stock left, and none of their partners have any stock left either. So this is interesting because what have they done? This Surface RT hasn't sold fantastically well. Not really that surprising, because while it's a good tablet, it doesn't have the backing through software, which is what a tablet like that's all about. But have they actually run out of stock, or is this just some form of PR stunt? Because there's been some other news about the Surface Pro, and that's not necessarily good news. It's had early reviews, and some of them, are good. The Verge, for example, gave it a 7.5, which is a good score. But apparently, the battery life really does suffer. We have predicted this because obviously it's not running it's running an energy efficient chip, but it's running a laptop chip in a really small tablet. It's a bit bigger than the Surface RT, but I'd be very happy to have one. It's a great idea. It's a proper computer that is a tablet, and it's what we've been wanting for a while. But we have to wait and see some more reviews before we can say for sure. But out of stock, or is it actually out of stock? Because this has grabbed the headlines. Surface Pro out of stock, selling really well, and now people know about it that might not have otherwise known. So it could actually just be a PR stunt. They might have a warehouse full of them, but we don't really know. There's no pre-order system online, so if you do want one, then you just kind of have to wait until it's back in stock. But it's a bit of a shambles, really. But this could just be to grab the headlines. We don't really know. Now, lastly, there is some actual sad news. It is very sad, and you may remember that Kingdoms of Amalur, the developers that made that game, both Big Huge and 38 Studios, was closed down about 8 months ago. But the staff was hired by Epic, and they created a new studio called Impossible Studios. Well, unfortunately, they have since closed down this week, which is obviously sad news because that's a lot of jobs. But they hired and formed this studio with the ex-staff, but Epic founder Tim Sweeney stated that ultimately it wasn't working out for Epic, which is a massive shame because once again, they're without jobs, and these people, they made great games. Amalur was a great game, and while obviously some people torrent stuff, and it's a shambles. You really shouldn't do that because people are making money off of this, and if you don't buy it, then they're not going to get the money. It's sad. But there's a lot of jobless people at the moment. But Epic have said they can keep the name of the studio and their logo, which is Epic, apparently. But slightly better news is that Ken Levine has said that he's interested in hiring some of these people. But it's a big shame because it was a great game, they were great developers. But they do know what they're doing, and hopefully they will find their feet very soon, and we wish them the best of luck finding new jobs. So that is this week's news, and what do you think? Are you going to get a Surface? What, do you think you'd want a Surface? Does the battery life matter for you? Apparently it's reported about 4 hours. I mean, I'd be interested. Apparently it's got the best, according to The Verge, it's got the greatest display that he has ever seen on a laptop, which is great. It's a 1080p screen, and I might get one. I might show you guys all about it, but we'll have to wait and see all about that. On the top of the Surface Pro, they have also released an advert for it, which is actually pretty good. Actually, I'll leave a link for that in the description. So go and check out that advert. It might give you a smile. But hopefully tomorrow I will give you a Aliens Colonial Marines video. I've got that on the way, so I'll hopefully be able to bring you some news on that and show you what it's like. And obviously my full review will be in about a week's time, as soon as I've finished it. Thank you for watching the update, and I will see you next time.